The wine glass shattered against marble. 70 people turned to stare. And that's when Grace Thornton's husband fired her in front of everyone at a company retreat while she was 6 months pregnant with his child. But here's the twist. The resort where he humiliated her, it belonged to her father, a venture capitalist who secretly owned 40% of her husband's company. Derek thought he was erasing Grace from the story, replacing her with his 26-year-old assistant, his new fiancée, his future. He had no idea what he'd just started, because Grace wasn't the naive wife he thought she was. She was about to become the CEO who destroyed him. Usual and his own arrogance, his own crimes, his own stupid decision to fire her at her father's resort. This is the story of a woman who refused to disappear, who documented everything, who fought back with evidence, strategy, and the quiet power of knowing your worth. It's about justice, transformation. And the moment you realize the prison door was unlocked all along, stay with me, because what happens next will make you want to stand up and cheer. The wine glass hit the marble floor, shattered. Red liquid spread across white stone like blood. Grace Thornton pressed her hand against her belly, 6 months pregnant. The baby kicked, hard, insistent, as if sensing something was wrong. Around her, 70 employees of Thornton Technologies laughed and mingled. The welcome reception at Ashford Bay Resort, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the Pacific Ocean. Sunset painting, everything gold and orange. She wore the navy silk dress her mother had insisted on. The fabric stretched tight over her swollen stomach. Professional but undeniably pregnant. She'd worked until 9 o'clock last night, closed the Redwood Digital Partnership. $3 million, the biggest deal in company history. Her deal. Grace, Derek's voice cut through the conversation. She turned. Her husband stood near the bar. Derek Thornton, Chief Executive Officer, father of her unborn child, 34 years old and successful beyond his dreams. Their dreams. She'd helped build this company. Vanessa Cole stood beside him, Derek's assistant, 26 years old, in blonde hair in a perfect twist, wearing a Cartier bracelet, the same one Grace had admired last month in the jewelry store window. "We need to make an announcement," Derek said. Grace smiled, nodded. The Redwood deal. He was going to announce it, give her credit in front of everyone. She walked toward him, each step careful. Her center of gravity had shifted. Everything about her body felt foreign now, swollen ankles, aching back, the constant need to pee. Derek tapped his wine glass with a knife. The sound rang out, sharp, clear. The room quieted. 70 faces turned toward them. "Thank you all for joining us at this incredible location," Derek said. His voice carried confidence, authority. "As many of you know, this property belongs to my father-in-law, William Ashford." Grace's stomach tightened. Something felt wrong. "We're here to celebrate Thornton Technologies' future," Derek continued. "A future that requires difficult decisions, strategic restructuring, fresh leadership for our next phase of growth." He looked directly at her. His eyes were cold, distant, like looking at a stranger. Effective immediately, Grace Thornton is no longer with the company. The words hung in the air. Grace couldn't process them, couldn't breathe. "Vanessa Cole will assume the role of Chief Marketing Officer," Derek said. Silence, complete silence. 70 pairs of eyes turned to Grace, staring, judging, pitying. Her face burned. The baby kicked again, harder this time, like it was trying to escape. "Derek." Her voice came out smaller than she intended, weak. "What are you doing?" "This isn't personal," he said, professional, detached. "Your performance has been inconsistent. The board agrees. This decision is final." Lies, all lies. She'd built the marketing department from nothing, hired every person on that team, brought in their biggest clients, worked 80-hour weeks while growing their child inside her body. Rachel Bennett pushed through the crowd, her best friend, the HR director. Her face was pale, shocked. "Derek, this isn't proper protocol," Rachel said. "We should discuss this privately." "The decision is final." Derek's hand rested on Vanessa's lower back. The gesture was possessive, familiar, intimate. Grace's chest tightened. She knew that touch, that casual ownership. Grace, security will escort you tomorrow morning to collect your belongings, Derek said. We'll handle the transition professionally. Professionally, he was firing her at her father's resort in front of their entire company while she was 6 months pregnant with his child, and he called it professional. I helped build this company, Grace said, her voice stronger now, anger pushing through the shock. You helped, Derek agreed. Past tense, but Vanessa represents our future. She understands the vision for our next phase. The other woman smiled, subtle, victorious. Grace looked around the room. Former colleagues wouldn't meet her eyes. Some looked embarrassed. Others looked relieved it wasn't them. Marcus Sullivan stood near the windows, the chief financial officer. Derek's business partner. He was staring at his shoes. Only Rachel looked angry. Her hands were clenched into fists. Grace turned, walked toward the exit. Each step felt impossible. Her legs shook. Her vision blurred. Behind her, conversation resumed. Awkward laughter, the sound of people pretending nothing had happened, the sound of her career ending. She made it to the hallway before her knees buckled. Rachel caught her, held her up. I didn't know, Rachel whispered. I swear to God, Grace, I didn't know. Grace couldn't speak, couldn't think. She pressed both hands against her stomach, felt the baby moving, still alive, still dependent on her. She had to stay calm for the baby. I need to get to my room, Grace said. Rachel helped her to the elevator. They rode up in silence. Grace stared at her reflection in the mirrored walls. Navy dress, swollen belly, face pale with shock. This morning she'd been VP of marketing, successful, valued, important. Now she was nothing. The elevator doors opened. Rachel walked her to the suite. Grace's hands shook so badly she couldn't get the key card to work. Rachel took it, opened the door, helped Grace indeed. Do you want me to stay? Rachel asked. No, I need to be alone. Grace, please, why you give eyes? Rachel hesitated, then nodded. Call me if you need anything. I mean it. The door closed. Grace stood in the middle of the suite, ocean view through floor-to-ceiling windows, king bed with white linens, elegant furniture. Her father owned this resort, every room, every piece of furniture, every blade of grass. Derek had chosen her father's property to humiliate her. Grace walked to the bathroom, sat on the floor, cool tile against her back. The baby moved constantly now, restless, like mother, like child. Her phone buzzed. She pulled it from her purse. 17 messages. Rachel, I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. Patricia, call me now, Mom. Your father is requesting you come to the main house. She ignored them all, opened her laptop instead, logged into the company shared drive. Access denied. She tried her work email, account suspended. The company credit card in her wallet. She pulled it out, called the number on the back. Thornton Technologies Corporate Card Services. How may I help you? This is Grace Thornton. I need to check my card status. Typing sounds, then silence. I'm sorry, Mrs. Thornton. That account has been closed. When? This afternoon at 3:45, before the announcement. Derek had closed her card before he even fired her. Thank you, Grace said. Hung up. He'd planned this, every detail. How long? How long had he been planning to erase her? She thought back 3 months. He'd asked her to sign papers, updating the corporate structure, he'd said. Just routine paperwork. She'd been exhausted. Morning sickness, prenatal appointments, swollen feet. She'd signed without reading. God, she'd signed without reading. A knock at the door. Grace, it's Patricia. Her sister, Grace, stood, opened the door. Patricia swept in like a storm, laptop bag over one shoulder, legal pad in hand, that expression on her face, the one that meant someone was about to get destroyed in court. Tell me everything, Patricia said. Grace told her. The announcement, the firing, Vanessa, the company card, the closed accounts. Patricia's jaw tightened with each sentence. The idiot chose Dad's property to humiliate you. I don't think he knew what he was doing. Oh, he knew. And Vanessa, his assistant, she's the new chief marketing officer? Yes. The 26-year-old? Grace nodded. How long has the affair been going on? I don't know if... Grace, Patricia gripped her shoulders, forced eye contact. The Cartier bracelet, the way he touched her. How long? She wanted to deny it, defend him, but the signs had been there. Late nights at the office, distant mornings. The way he stopped asking about her day, stopped touching her, stopped seeing her. Months, Grace whispered. Maybe since I announced the pregnancy. Patricia pulled out her phone, typed rapidly. What are you doing? Texting Dad's head of security. I want every camera angle from tonight. Every recording. Derek just committed the stupidest move of his life. Why? Because Dad owns this resort, which means Dad owns the surveillance footage. And firing a pregnant employee in front of witnesses without cause or documentation is grounds for a lawsuit that will bury him. Grace's phone buzzed. Derek, please don't make this harder than it needs to be. Vanessa and I have been trying to handle this professionally. She stared at the message. Vanessa and I. He said it like they were a unit, a team, a couple. How long had she been invisible to him? She typed back, you fired me at my father's resort while I'm carrying your child. There's nothing professional about that. Derek, your father's resort is irrelevant. This is business. Patricia read over her shoulder. Laughed, actually laughed. He really doesn't know, does he? Know what? Patricia sat on the bed, pulled out her laptop. Grace, Dad doesn't just own this resort. He's the primary investor in Thornton Technologies. He holds 40% of the company stock. Grace's heart stopped. What? Derek needed capital 2 years ago. Dad provided it, silently, through a shell corporation. Derek thinks his investor is Ashford Capital Partners, some faceless venture capital firm. He doesn't know ACP is Dad's personal fund. The room spun. Grace sat down hard. Why wouldn't Dad tell me? Because you asked him not to interfere in your marriage. You said you wanted to build something with Derek on your own terms. So Dad invested quietly. He was investing in you, Grace, not Derek. You. She remembered that conversation 3 years ago, before the wedding. She'd been so determined to prove herself, to build something that wasn't just handed to her because of her last name. Grace, Patricia's voice softened. Dad can destroy him. One phone call. Derek will lose everything, but he won't make that call unless you ask. I don't want Dad to fix this. Then what do you want? She looked at her reflection in the darkened window. 6 months pregnant, fired, humiliated, betrayed, but not broken. I want justice, she said. I want Derek to understand exactly what he's lost. Mirror technique moment. Grace did what she always did when processing shock. She opened her phone's notes app, started typing, facts, timeline, evidence. 3 times she deleted everything, started over. The cursor blinked on the empty screen. Delete, type, delete. Finally, she just stared at the blank page, her thoughts too chaotic to organize. Chime. Patricia's phone rang. She answered, listened. Her expression shifted from anger to something darker. She hung up. Grace, Derek just sent a company-wide email. He's announcing his engagement to Vanessa. Grace sat in the bathtub, fully clothed, water running cold around her. Engaged. The word kept repeating in her mind. Engaged. Ingman. Inghad. They weren't even divorced yet. Still married. Still legally bound. She was carrying his child and he was engaged to someone else. Patricia pounded on the bathroom door. Grace, open up. Mom's here. She didn't move. Couldn't move. The water had gone cold 20 minutes ago. Her dress clung to her skin. Heavy, suffocating. The baby kicked. She pressed her hand against the spot. Felt the tiny foot push back. Strong, determined. I'm sorry, she whispered to her stomach. I'm so sorry. Sorry for what? For choosing the wrong father? For being so blind? For bringing a child into this disaster? The door opened. Patricia had overridden the lock somehow. Her mother followed. Joanna Ashford, 56 years old, former executive at a Fortune 500 company, current force of nature. She took one look at Grace in the bathtub and her face hardened. Out of the tub, Mom said. Grace shook her head. Grace Elizabeth Ashford Thornton. Out. Now. Something in her mother's tone, this voice that meant business. Grace stood, water streamed from her dress, created puddles on the tile floor. Mom wrapped a towel around her shoulders, guided her to the bedroom, sat her on the bed. He's engaged, Grace said. We're still married and he's engaged. He's an idiot, Mom replied. Patricia, call Elena. Grace needs her doctor. I'm fine. You're 6 months pregnant, soaking wet and in shock. You're not fine. Patricia left the room, made the call. Mom sat beside Grace, started pulling pins from her hair, let the wet strands fall around Grace's shoulders, stroked them gently. When your father and I were young, Mom said, I worked for a man who tried to take credit for my biggest client acquisition. I spent 6 months courting that client, dozens of meetings, presentations, strategy sessions. Then my boss presented my proposal to the board as his own work. Grace looked up. What did you do? I had documentation, every email, every meeting note, every draft of every presentation. I'd learned early in my career to protect myself, so I walked into the next board meeting with a folder full of evidence. He was fired within the hour. Dad tells that story differently. He says you quit to start your own consulting firm. I did, after I got him fired. The lesson, Grace, is this. Document everything. Trust your instincts. And never let anyone take credit for your work. Patricia returned. Elena's flying in tomorrow morning. She wants you to rest tonight. Stay hydrated. No stress. Grace almost laughed. No stress. Her husband had just fired her and announced his engagement. No stress. I need to see Dad, Grace said. He's been waiting, Mom replied. But he won't come here unless you ask. He's trying to respect your independence. Independence. Grace had nothing. No child, no husband, no idea how she'd support her child. But she had independence. Can he destroy Derek? Grace asked. Mom's expression hardened. Yes. How fast? A phone call, maybe 2. Grace stood, changed into dry clothes, yoga pants, oversized sweater, pulled her wet hair into a bun, looked at herself in the mirror. Her father could fix this. One phone call. Derek would lose everything. The company, his reputation, his future. But that wasn't justice. That was rescue. She thought about the email, the engagement announcement. Derek had sent it to everyone. The entire company, all their friends, their families. He wanted her humiliated, erased, forgotten. I want to see Dad, Grace said, but not for what you think. They walked to the car. Mom drove. Grace sat in the back seat, stared out the window at the darkened resort grounds, lights glowing from buildings, couples walking hand in hand, normal people having normal vacations. Her father's house sat on the hilltop, a mile from the main resort, private, secluded. She'd grown up in this house, knew every room, every corner, every secret hiding spot. Mom parked. Grace got out, breathed in the night air. I'll wait in the car, Patricia said. You should come. This is between you and Dad. Grace walked the path alone. Through the gardens her mother had planted 30 years ago, lavender and rosemary, jasmine climbing the arbor. The air smelled like her grandmother's perfume. She stopped walking, stood in the middle of the path, let the cool air calm her face. The baby kicked, rhythmic, like a heartbeat. We're going to be okay, she whispered. I promise, Bowie Mama. She didn't know if it was true. But saying it out loud helped. William Ashford sat on his deck, whiskey glass in hand, 58 years old, silver hair, still in the suit he'd worn to dinner. He stood when he saw her. Gracie, she hadn't cried yet, not really. But her father's voice, that nickname, something inside her cracked. He crossed the deck, held her, let her sob, didn't say a word, just held her while she fell apart. When she finally pulled away, he handed her a tissue, poured her sparkling water in a crystal glass. They sat in the chairs overlooking the valley. I'm sorry, he said. For what? For not warning you about him. I saw the signs 2 years ago. The way he talked about the company. It was never we. It was always I, my company, my vision, my success. But you loved him. So I kept quiet. You invested in his company. I invested in your company. You built that marketing department from nothing. You brought in 60% of their revenue. I was investing in you, Gracie, not him. Grace looked at the resort below, lights glowing. Her husband was down there somewhere, sleeping in one of those rooms with his assistant, his fiancée. He thinks you're just a resort owner, she said. He never asked about my other investments. He doesn't know you control his company. I don't control it. I'm a major stakeholder. There's a difference. What happens now? William sipped his whiskey, stared at the horizon. That depends. What do you want to happen? I want him to face consequences. I can make one phone call. He'll be out by morning. Vanessa, too. You'll be reinstated as VP of Marketing with a raise in equity. That's not enough. Her father smiled, sad but proud. Tell me what you need. I need time. I need to think. I need to understand exactly what he's done. Financially, legally, all of it. Patricia can help with that. I know. But Dad, I need to do this myself. I need to be the one who brings him down. Not you, not Patricia, me. William set down his glass, studied her face. Then you'll need resources, information, access. Can you give me that without interfering? I can give you everything you need to make your own choices. But Grace, there's something you should know. What? Derek signed a contract when I invested. A morality clause. Standard in all my deals. If he engages in behavior that damages the company's reputation or creates legal liability, I can call the loan immediately, full repayment within 30 days. Grace's mind raced. Firing a pregnant employee might qualify. Public humiliation of a pregnant employee at a corporate event while announcing an affair with his assistant. Yes, that absolutely qualifies. If you call the loan, he'll have to repay $3 million within 30 days. Correct. He doesn't have $3 million liquid. Most of his net worth is tied up in company stock. Also correct. He'd have to sell his shares to pay you back, to whoever offers to buy them. She understood. Her father could buy Derek's shares, take majority control, remove Derek from the board, fire him from his own company. That's not justice, Grace said. That's just a buyout. What's your alternative? Grace thought about the board, Marcus Sullivan, the CFO, Derek's business partner, since the beginning. She'd helped Marcus's wife through a difficult pregnancy last year, brought her meals, drove her to appointments when Marcus was traveling. They'd grown close. I want to talk to the board without Derek knowing. Is that possible? The next board meeting is scheduled for 3 days from now. Here? At the resort? Yes, part of the retreat agenda. Can you arrange for me to attend? As an observer? You're not on the board. Yet, William smiled, really smiled, the proud father smile. You're going to replace him, aren't you? I'm going to let the board decide after they see the evidence, after they understand what he's done, after they realize the company they've built is at risk because of his choices. You'll need documentation, proof that's irrefutable. I know where to find it. Her father pulled out his phone, opened a folder, showed her the screen, security footage, time-stamped, multiple camera angles of the welcome reception, audio included, all backed up on his private server. This is from tonight, he said, but there's more. He clicked another file. Video loaded, Derek's office, time-stamped 3 weeks ago, Derek and Vanessa, his hand on her stomach. Is she pregnant too? Grace whispered. Watch, Derek's voice through the speakers. Once we get rid of Grace, we can do this right. You'll have the title, the office, the respect you deserve, everything she thinks she's earned. Vanessa's voice. What about the baby? What about it? I'll pay child support, fulfill my legal obligations. But Grace was a mistake, a distraction. You and I are the future. The video ended. Grace sat very still, breathing slowly, deliberately, everything she thinks she's earned. He didn't just fire her. He'd been planning to erase her for weeks, maybe months. How did you get this? She asked. I own the building where Thornton Technologies leases office space. My security system covers the entire property. That seems convenient. I don't believe in coincidences. I believe in controlling the variables. Grace stood, walked to the railing, looked out at the dark ocean. Her father had been protecting her all along, watching, documenting, waiting. You knew, she said. You knew he was going to fire me. I suspected. I didn't know when or how, but I've been documenting everything for the past 2 months, just in case. Why didn't you warn me? Would you have believed me? She thought about it, honest answer. No, I would have thought you were trying to interfere, that you didn't trust my judgment, that you were being overprotective. Exactly. So I waited and watched and gathered evidence because I knew when the moment came, you'd need more than my word. You'd need proof, validation, whisper. Dad, I'm not the naive woman who signed those papers 3 months ago. I'm not the wife who ignored the warning signs. I'm not the employee who stayed quiet when she should have spoken up. I'm done being invisible. I'm done making myself smaller so Derek can feel bigger. I'm done pretending everything is fine when it's not. Grace turned to face her father. I need copies of everything, every video, every document, every piece of evidence you have. Patricia will have it by morning. And I need access to the company financials. As a major shareholder, I have that access. I can give you read-only privileges to my account. Won't Derek notice? He doesn't know William Ashford and Ashford Capital Partners are the same entity. The login credentials are different. The paperwork was routed through my attorneys. He has no idea. How is that possible? How did he not investigate his major investor? William smiled. Because I presented myself as exactly what he wanted to believe. A silent partner with deep pockets and no interest in operations. He was too arrogant to look deeper. Grace's phone buzzed. She ignored it. It buzzed again and again. She pulled it out. 23 new messages, most from people at the company, colleagues, former friends. Sarah from accounting. I'm so sorry. I had no idea this was happening. Tom from sales. This is wrong. Derek's making a huge mistake. Melissa from HR. Call me if you need anything. And one from Derek. Derek, we need to talk about logistics, child support, custody arrangements. My lawyer will contact you. His lawyer. He already had a lawyer. She showed her father. He's trying to control the narratives, William said. Frame this as an amicable separation. Make it look like a mutual decision. It wasn't mutual. No, it was calculated, strategic, cruel. Grace sat back down, suddenly exhausted. The baby was moving again, constant motion, like it knew something was wrong. What if I can't do this? She asked. What if I'm not strong enough? Then you rest, you take care of yourself and your baby, and you let me handle it. No, Grace, no, Dad, I need to do this. Not for revenge, not for money. But because if I don't fight back, I'll spend the rest of my life wondering what would have happened if I'd been brave enough to try. Her father nodded, understood. Then we start tomorrow. Patricia will help you build the case. Rachel from HR will provide employment records. And I'll make sure you have everything else you need. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. This is going to get ugly. Derek won't go quietly. He'll fight. He'll lie. He'll try to discredit you. Let him try. William stood, kissed the top of her head. You're stronger than you know, Gracie. Stronger than he ever gave you credit for. She walked back to the car. Patricia was waiting. They drove back to the resort in silence. In her room, Grace finally changed out of her damp clothes, put on pajamas, lay down on the bed. Her phone buzzed again. She almost ignored it, but something made her look. Rachel. I quit. Just sent Derek my resignation. I'm not working for someone who treats people like this. I'm on your side, whatever you need. Grace's eyes filled with tears. She typed back, thank you. I'll call you tomorrow. She set the phone down, closed her eyes, placed both hands on her belly. The baby kicked, steady, strong, a fighter. We're going to be okay, she whispered again. I promise, boss. This time, she almost believed it. Grace woke at 5 in the morning. Couldn't sleep. Her mind spun with thoughts, plans, anger. She showered, dressed, made coffee, decaf, doctor's orders, but she needed something warm in her hands. something to hold on to. Patricia arrived at 6, laptop bag, legal pads, 2 large coffees from the resort cafe, 1 decaf vanilla latte, Patricia said, extra foam. They sat at the dining table, spread documents across the surface. Dad sent me everything, Patricia said. Security footage, financial records, email access to his investor account. It's a lot. Grace opened her own laptop, logged into her personal email, started forwarding herself every document she'd ever saved from work. Client contracts, marketing reports, performance reviews. What are you doing? Patricia asked. Building my case. If Derek says I was underperforming, I need proof that I wasn't. Smart. They worked in silence for an hour. Grace reviewed company financials, Derek's expense reports, corporate credit card statements. She froze. Patricia, look at this. Her sister leaned over. Grace pointed at the screen. Company card charges, jewelry stores, high-end restaurants, hotels, all in the past 4 months, all with Vanessa's name on the receipts. Patricia scanned the entries. $60,000. He's been using company funds to support the affair. That's embezzlement. Grace kept scrolling, found another file. And look at this, a consulting contract. Vanessa's mother, Margaret Cole, $20,000 for marketing advisory services. What are her qualifications? Grace pulled up a quick search. She's a dental hygienist in Tampa, Florida. No marketing experience, no business credentials, nothing. That's fraud. He created a fake contract to funnel money to Vanessa's family. They kept digging. The pattern became clearer with each document. 3 months ago, Derek had revised the corporate structure. Multiple documents. Grace remembered signing them. She'd been exhausted. Second trimester. Working long hours on the Redwood deal. Patricia pulled up the papers. Read them carefully. Grace, look at this. Your role changed from vice president of marketing to marketing consultant. On paper, you became an independent contractor, not an employee. What does that mean? If you're not technically an employee, he can argue the termination wasn't wrongful. Consultants don't have the same legal protections. But I never agreed to consultant status. You signed the paperwork. He told me it was a routine restructuring. Did you read it? Grace's silence answered the question. Grace, I was pregnant, exhausted, dealing with morning sickness and swollen ankles and prenatal appointments. I trusted him. He's my husband, was my husband. I thought I could trust him. Patricia's expression softened. That's not your fault. That's manipulation. He knew you were overwhelmed. He used that, but it complicates things legally. What about the embezzlement, the fake consulting contract? That we can prove. That's criminal. Grace's phone buzzed. Rachel's name on the screen. Rachel, I'm so sorry. Derek made me process your termination paperwork yesterday afternoon. I had no choice, but I kept copies. Everything. Call me when you're ready. Grace showed Patricia. Rachel's smart, Patricia said. HR is required to keep documentation. If she's willing to share it, we'll have Derek's entire paper trail. Grace called Rachel, put her on speaker. I feel terrible, Rachel said, her voice thick with emotion. I should have warned you. You didn't know, Grace replied. I suspected. The way he looked at Vanessa, the closed-door meetings, the whispered conversations. But I thought I was being paranoid. Rachel, I need your help. Anything. The termination paperwork. Did Derek follow proper protocol? Silence on the line. Then, no, he didn't. What do you mean? There's supposed to be a performance improvement plan, documentation of issues, at least 3 written warnings, a review process. You had none of that. Your last performance review was excellent. Glowing, actually. This termination is completely improper. Can you document that? I already have. I've been building a file since yesterday, copies of your reviews, the termination paperwork showing no prior warnings, the corporate policy handbook showing required procedures, everything. Can you send it to Patricia? I'll send it right now. Check your email in 2 minutes. Patricia's laptop pinged. She opened the file, started reading. Her smile was predatory. Grace, Derek is finished. They spent the next 3 hours reviewing everything, building a timeline, connecting dots. Derek had been systematically removing Grace's access for months. Slowly, carefully. Her email signature changed. Her name removed from client communications. Her ideas credited to other people. He'd been erasing her long before he fired her. Mirror technique moment. Grace stood up, walked to the window, pressed her forehead against the cool glass. She did what she always did when her mind was too full. Started organizing, mentally cataloging, facts in one column, emotions in another, legal issues in a third. Her brain worked like spreadsheets when overwhelmed. Numbers and categories and clear divisions. It was the only way she could function. Why? Grace asked. Why would he do this? Money, Patricia said. Power, control. Maybe he got tired of sharing credit. Maybe Vanessa convinced him he'd be more successful without you. Or maybe he just stopped loving me. Love doesn't work like that. You don't stop loving someone and start planning their professional destruction. That's not love fading, that's cruelty. Grace thought about the video, Derek's voice, everything she thinks she's earned. He never thought I earned anything, she said. He thought I was lucky, that I was riding his coattails, that my success was really his success. He's an idiot. He's the father of my child. Those things aren't mutually exclusive. Grace's phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. Mrs. Thornton, this is Jennifer Wayne. I'm an attorney representing 3 former Thornton Technologies employees. We're filing a class action lawsuit against your husband for workplace harassment and discrimination. I'd like to discuss your recent termination. Grace put the phone on speaker. I'm here with my attorney. Go ahead. 3 women, Jennifer explained, all former employees, all fired after rejecting Derek's advances or reporting inappropriate behavior. I've been building this case for 6 months. When I heard about your termination yesterday, I knew we had a pattern. Grace's stomach turned. I didn't know. Most people don't. These cases are usually settled quietly with non-disclosure agreements. But I've been documenting everything. Now with your case, we have proof of systematic misconduct. What do you need from me? Your story, on record, with documentation if you have it. Grace looked at Patricia. Her sister nodded. I have documentation, Grace said. Extensive documentation. What kind? Grace laid it out. The security footage, the financial records showing embezzlement, the fake consulting contract, the improper termination, Rachel's employment files, the recorded announcement of her firing, silence on the line. Then, Mrs. Thornton, this isn't just wrongful termination. This is a pattern of abuse. Derek has been using his position to manipulate, exploit, and discard women. Your evidence could bring down his entire operation. Can you stop him? With what you have? Yes, but it'll be public, messy. The media will cover it. Everyone will know what happened. Are you prepared for that? Grace thought about her baby, her future, the other women Derek had hurt. I'm prepared. Good, I'll send over an engagement letter. We should meet in person as soon as possible. I'm at Ashford Bay Resort. My father owns it. I know, I grew up 30 minutes from there. I can be there by 2 this afternoon. Perfect. Grace hung up, looked at Patricia. This is really happening, and Grace said, yes, it is. Derek's going to lose everything. He already lost everything. He just doesn't know it yet. Yeah. They broke for lunch. Grace needed to eat. The baby needed nutrition, even if she felt too sick to think about food. Her mother arrived with containers from the resort kitchen, chicken soup, fresh bread, fruit salad. You need protein, Mom said. Grace ate, mechanically, forcing herself. The baby kicked in approval. How are you feeling, Mom asked. Angry, scared, determined. Good, all normal responses. I keep thinking about the wit tuining. Our vows, for better or worse, richer or poorer, in sickness and in health. He broke those vows, not you. I know, but I still feel like I failed somehow. Grace, her mother took her hand. You built a company. You carried a child. You worked yourself to exhaustion trying to be everything Derek needed. You didn't fail. He did. What if I can't do this? What if I'm not strong enough? Then you rest, you recover, you take care of yourself, and you try again tomorrow. What if tomorrow I'm still not strong enough? Then you try the day after that. Strength isn't about never falling down. It's about getting back up. Jennifer Wayne arrived at 2 exactly. Mid-40s, sharp suit, briefcase full of files. They met in William's study, privacy, security, recording equipment if needed. Jennifer laid out the case. 3 women, all with similar stories. Derek had propositioned each of them. When they refused, their work lives became hell. Impossible assignments, public criticism, eventually termination. All 3 signed non-disclosure agreements, Jennifer said, but NDAs don't protect illegal activity. If we can prove Derek's behavior was criminal, the NDAs become void. How do we prove that? Grace asked. Your evidence. The embezzlement proves criminal intent. The improper termination proves a pattern. Combined with testimony from all 4 of you, we have a case strong enough to break those NDAs. What about Vanessa? Is she a victim too? That's complicated. She benefited from the relationship, got promotions and access. But we don't know if the relationship was truly consensual or if Derek used his power to coerce her. She smiled when he fired me. People react to trauma in different ways. Some smile, some shut down, some lash out. We can't judge her response without knowing her full story. Grace thought about Vanessa, 26 years old, Derek's assistant. Had he manipulated her too? Used her ambition against her? I want to talk to her, Grace said. That's not advisable, Jennifer replied. I need to understand. Was she with him by choice or by coercion? Even if it started as coercion, she's now complicit in your termination. She accepted the promotion knowing it should have been yours. I still want to talk to her. Patricia shook her head. Bad idea. Probably, but I need to know. Jennifer sighed. If you insist, do it carefully. Don't accuse. Don't threaten. Just listen. And record everything with your phone. Washington is a 2-party consent state, so inform her she's being recorded. I will. They spent the next hour going through timelines, dates, events, building the case piece by piece. By 5 o'clock, Grace was exhausted. The baby was restless. She needed to rest. Jennifer packed up her files. This is good work, strong evidence. Derek's lawyer will try to settle quickly. Don't take the first offer. I'm not interested in settling, Grace said. You might change your mind when you see the numbers. I won't. This isn't about money. It's always about money. Not this time, Jennifer smiled. Good. I like clients with principles. Makes my job more interesting. After Jennifer left, Grace lay down on the bed, closed her eyes, tried to quiet her racing thoughts. Her phone buzzed. Derek's name on the screen. Derek, we need to discuss custody arrangements. My lawyer wants to mediate. She didn't respond. Not yet. She needed to think. Another buzz. Derek, I'm trying to be reasonable here. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. Reasonable. He thought he was being reasonable. She typed back. Reasonable would have been not firing me while I'm pregnant. Reasonable would have been not announcing your engagement while we're still married. Reasonable would have been treating me with basic human dignity. You lost the right to ask me to be reasonable. She hit send, then blocked his number. She was done with reasonable. Grace couldn't sleep. Again, 3 in the morning. She sat on the balcony, ocean sounds in the darkness, cool air on her face. She kept thinking about the beginning, how they'd met, how everything had been good once, 7 years ago. Tech conference in Seattle. She was 23, working for a marketing agency. He was 27, just starting Thornton Technologies with Marcus Sullivan. Derek had approached her after her panel presentation, asked intelligent questions, made her laugh. They'd gone for coffee, then dinner, then breakfast. She'd fallen fast, hard, completely. He was brilliant, visionary, driven. He talked about changing the world, making technology accessible, building something that mattered. She'd believed in him, believed in them. 2 years of dating, long distance. She was in San Francisco. He was in Seattle. They made it work. Weekend visits, late-night video calls, constant texts. Then he'd asked her to move, join his company, use her marketing skills to help him grow. She'd said yes without hesitation. Left her mom, left her friends, left her life, moved to Seattle for him. They'd worked together for a year, built the company from 10 employees to 50. She'd created the marketing strategy, built the brand, brought in their first major clients. Then he'd proposed. On the office rooftop, champagne and roses, 50 employees watching. She'd said yes, again, without hesitation. The wedding had been perfect, small, intimate, just family and close friends at her parents' resort. This resort, where everything was now falling apart. They'd been happy. She was sure of it. Weren't they? She thought back, tried to pinpoint when things changed. Maybe it was gradual, so slow she didn't notice. He stopped asking about her day, started talking only about his vision, his goals, his plans. She became an accessory, the supportive wife, the talented marketing director, the woman behind the successful man. When had she stopped being Grace and started being Derek's wife? The pregnancy announcement. 5 months ago, she'd been so excited. He'd been complicated, happy but distant, supportive but distracted. She thought he was just stressed about the company, worried about becoming a father. Normal concerns. Now she wondered, had he already decided she was disposable? Had Vanessa already replaced her in his mind? The video from 3 weeks ago. Once we get rid of Grace, 3 weeks. He'd been planning this for at least 3 weeks, probably longer. How had she missed it? She thought about all the signs, late nights, distant mornings, the way he stopped touching her, stopped seeing her. She'd blamed the pregnancy, thought he was adjusting to her changing body, giving her space. How naive, how stupid. Breathing room scene. Grace walked down to the beach, barefoot. The sand was cool under her feet. She stood at the water's edge, let the waves wash over her toes, breathed in salt air, listened to the rhythm of the ocean, in and out, like breathing, like heartbeat, ancient, inconstant. The world kept spinning even when her life fell apart. The waves kept coming even when she felt like drowning. It should have been comforting. Instead, it made her feel small, insignificant, just another person whose life was falling apart while the universe didn't even notice. Patricia found her on the beach at dawn. "You couldn't sleep either?" Patricia asked. "Too many thoughts." "Want to talk about it?" "I keep thinking about all the moments I should have seen, all the signs I ignored." "Grace, you're not psychic. You can't blame yourself for trusting your husband. But I should have known. I should have paid attention. Or maybe he's just really good at lying." They sat in the sand, watched the sunrise, pink and orange spreading across the sky. "Now, what was the moment you knew?" Patricia asked. "The moment you realized it was really over?" Grace thought about it. The Cartier bracelet. I saw it on Vanessa, the exact one I'd admired, and I knew Derek had bought it for me. Or I thought he had, but he gave it to her instead. That's cruel. That's calculated. He knew I wanted it, knew it would hurt. He gave it to her anyway. "Do you still love him?" Grace considered the question. Honest answer. "I love who I thought he was. The man I married, but that person doesn't exist. Maybe he never did." "You're allowed to grieve that." "I'm too angry to grieve." "Anger is part of grief." They sat in silence. The sun rose higher. Other guests appeared on the beach. Morning joggers, early swimmers. Grace's phone rang. Rachel's name. "Morning," and Grace answered. "I have news. Derek called an emergency board meeting. Today, 3 o'clock. He wants us to formalize Vanessa's promotion. Get board approval before anyone can question it." "Can he do that?" "He's the CEO. He can call meetings. But Grace, this is your opportunity." "How?" "Your father is a board member. He can assist you attend, as the person directly affected by the personnel decision. You have standing." Grace's pulse quickened. "When did Derek call this meeting?" "This morning at 6. Sent emails to all board members. Mandatory attendance. He's trying to rush it through before people can think." "Exactly, but your father can slow it down. Demand proper procedure. Or I can attend, present my side." "Grace, I have evidence, documentation, Proof of embezzlement and fraud. If the board sees it, they'll have to act. That's risky. Everything is risky now. Grace hung up, looked at Patricia. Derek called an emergency board meeting this afternoon. Let me guess, he wants to legitimize Vanessa's promotion. Yes, and I want to attend. Are you sure? No, but I'm doing it anyway. They walked back to the house. Her father was awake, coffee in hand, already dressed for the day. Grace explained the situation, the emergency board meeting, her plan to attend. I can make that happen, William said. As a major shareholder, I can request your presence. Insist that the person being replaced has a right to address the board. Will the other board members agree? Marcus will. He's already uncomfortable with this situation. The others will follow his lead. What about Derek? He'll try to block me. He can try, but board rules are clear. A shareholder holding more than 25% can require testimony from affected parties. I hold 40%. Derek can't override that. Grace felt something shift inside her. Not confidence exactly, but determination. Then let's do it. The next 6 hours were preparation. Patricia helped Grace rehearse, asked hard questions, played devil's advocate. Why didn't you see the signs? Patricia asked. I did see them. I chose to ignore them. That's on me, but ignoring warning signs in a marriage doesn't justify criminal embezzlement or wrongful termination. Good. What about the baby? What about the baby? Derek will argue you're emotional, hormonal, not thinking clearly. Grace's jaw tightened. Then I'll remind the board that pregnancy doesn't impair cognitive function. But planning an affair, embezzling company funds, and committing fraud does suggest impaired judgment. Patricia smiled. Perfect. Use that exact phrasing. They went through every possible objection, every attack Derek might make, every way he might try to discredit her. By noon, Grace was ready. Not calm, not confident, but ready. Dr. Elena Martinez arrived at 1, examined Grace, took her blood pressure, listened to the baby's heartbeat through a portable monitor. Strong, steady, fighting. Your blood pressure is elevated, Elena said. Not dangerously high, but concerning. I have a meeting this afternoon. It's important. Is there any way to postpone it? No, it has to be today. Elena frowned. Then I'm coming with you. I'll wait outside the conference room. If you need me, I'll be there. You don't have to do that. Yes, I do. You're 6 months pregnant and under extreme stress. I'm not letting you face this alone. Grace felt tears prick her eyes. Kindness, when she least expected it. Thank you. Grace dressed carefully, a navy dress, professional. The fabric stretched over her belly. She didn't try to hide the pregnancy. She showcased it. This baby was evidence. Proof of Derek's betrayal, proof of his cruelty. Her mother helped with her hair. Simple, classic, pulled back into a low bun. Grace Ashford, not Grace Thornton. She looked at herself in the mirror, 6 months pregnant, about to face her husband, about to take back everything he'd stolen. You look like yourself again, Mom said. Grace studied her reflection. Navy dress, minimal makeup, hair styled but not fussy. She did look like herself. The woman she'd been before Derek, the woman who'd built her career on talent and hard work, the woman who didn't need anyone to validate her worth. I feel like myself again, Grace said. Mirror technique moment. Grace stood outside the conference room at 2:55. She pulled out her phone, checked the time, locked the screen, unlocked it, checked again, locked, unlocked. The same ritual she'd done before every important meeting, before her first big presentation at Thornton Technologies, before her wedding, before announcing her pregnancy to the board. Lock, unlock, lock. A grounding mechanism, a way to calm her racing heart. Lock, unlock, lock. At exactly 3 o'clock, she walked into the conference room. Derek sat at the head of the table, Vanessa beside him. The board members looked uncomfortable. Marcus wouldn't meet anyone's eyes. Then Derek saw her belly, saw her father standing behind her. His face went pale. What is she doing here? Derek demanded. William Ashford took his seat, calm, controlled. Every inch the powerful investor. Grace is here at my request. As a major stakeholder and the former vice president of marketing, she has a right to address the board regarding her termination. This is inappropriate, Derek said. What's inappropriate, William replied, is firing a pregnant employee in front of 70 witnesses without proper documentation, due process, or cause. We're going to discuss that right now. Marcus Sullivan shifted in his seat. He glanced at Grace, then quickly away, guilt written across his face. Derek, Marcus said carefully, maybe we should hear her out. This is my company, Derek started. No, Grace said, her voice steady, stronger than she felt. It's our company. I built the marketing department from nothing. I brought in Redwood Digital. I brought in Patterson Industries. I brought in Cyber Solutions. Those three clients alone account for 60% of annual revenue. This company exists because of my work. You were fired for performance issues, Derek said. Then show the board my performance reviews. Silence. Derek looked at Vanessa. She pulled out a folder, started to open it. Before you present whatever documents you've fabricated, Grace said, I'd like to present these. She placed her folder on the table, slid copies around to each board member. Inside, you'll find my actual performance reviews. All excellent, all signed by Derek himself. You'll also find documentation showing I exceeded every target, every metric, every goal for 3 consecutive years. The board members opened their folders, started reading. You'll also find security footage from the welcome reception, Grace continued, where Derek publicly announced my termination and his engagement to his assistant, while I'm 6 months pregnant with his child. She paused. Let that sink in. And you'll find the evidence of embezzlement. $60,000 in company funds used to support Derek's affair with Vanessa, corporate credit card charges at jewelry stores, expensive restaurants, hotels, and also inappropriate use of company resources. Derek stood up. This is fabricated. She's angry, vindictive. She's making this up. The security footage is time-stamped, William said calmly. The financial records are pulled directly from the company database. The credit card statements are from the bank. None of this is fabricated. Grace continued. You'll also find a consulting contract. $20,000 paid to Margaret Cole for marketing advisory services. Margaret is Vanessa's mother. She's a dental hygienist in Florida with no marketing experience. This contract is fraudulent. Marcus closed his folder. His face had gone red. Derek, is any of this true? The relationship with Vanessa is real, Derek admitted, but it's not an affair. Grace and I have been separated for months. We've been living in the same house, Grace said, sleeping in the same bed. Until 3 days ago, we are not separated. She's lying. I'm 6 months pregnant. Grace's voice cracked with emotion. Real emotion she didn't have to fake. You think I'm lying about whether we've been living together? Your child is moving inside me right now. You felt him kick last week. You asked if we should paint the nursery blue or green. You picked out a crib. We are not separated, Derek. We're married. Still married. The room went completely silent. Derek's mask slipped. For just a moment, she saw it. Guilt, shame, fear. Then his face hardened again. Back to the CEO. Back to being in control. I want what's best for the company, he said. Then resign, Grace replied. Step down, let someone with integrity lead. You're not qualified to run this company. I'm not applying to run the company. I'm asking you to stop destroying it. She turned to address the full board. Derek has created massive legal liability. I'm not the only woman he's mistreated. 3 former employees are filing a class action lawsuit for harassment and discrimination. Their attorney has documentation, testimony, evidence. If this goes to trial, Thornton Technologies will be named as a defendant. Our reputation will be destroyed. Our clients will leave. Our investors will pull funding. Everything we've built will collapse. You're bluffing, Derek said. I'm not. Grace's phone rang. She'd set this up with Jennifer. Perfect timing. Excuse me, Grace said. She answered on speaker. This is Grace Thornton. Mrs. Thornton, this is Jennifer Wayne. I'm calling from outside the conference room. I have 3 clients with me, former Thornton Technologies employees. They'd like to address the board. May we enter? Grace looked at Derek. The board will decide. Marcus spoke up. Let them in. The conference room door opened. Jennifer Wayne entered. Professional, prepared. 3 women followed. Grace recognized 2 of them. Former employees she'd worked with. Good people, talented people. Women who'd left suddenly under circumstances Derek had called resignations. Thank you for allowing us to speak, Jennifer said. My clients have signed statements regarding their experiences at Thornton Technologies. I'd like to present them to the board. She handed out documents. The board members read, faces growing more disturbed with each page. All 3 women were propositioned by Derek Thornton, Jennifer explained. When they declined his advance, their work lives became hostile. Impossible deadlines, public criticism, eventual termination. All 3 signed non-disclosure agreements. However, NDAs don't protect illegal activity. If we can prove criminal conduct, those NDAs become void. This is ridiculous, Derek said. These women are making false accusations for money. We're not asking for money, one of the women said. Her name was Sarah. Grace remembered her, smart, hardworking. She'd been in sales. We're asking for the truth. We're asking for Derek to be held accountable. Another woman spoke. I was 24 when Derek hired me. He was my boss. When he asked me to dinner, I thought it was a professional networking opportunity. But at dinner, he propositioned me, said he could fast-track my career if I was willing to be flexible. Those were his exact words. Be flexible. She's lying, Derek said. I have text messages, the woman replied. Emails, voicemails, all preserved, all time-stamped, all showing a pattern of inappropriate behavior. Marcus Sullivan stood up, walked to the windows, stared out at the ocean. How did I not see this? Marcus asked. No one answered. William spoke. There's one more thing the board should know. Derek signed a morality clause when I invested in this company. Standard in all my contracts. If a CEO engages in behavior that damages company reputation or creates legal liability, I can call the loan, demand immediate repayment within 30 days. Derek's face went white. You can't do that. I can. The contract is very clear. I don't have $3 million liquid. Then you'll need to sell your assets, starting with your company shares. Grace watched Derek process this, saw the moment he understood. He was trapped. However, William continued, I'm willing to offer an alternative. Resign voluntarily, sell your shares to me at fair market value, walk away with some dignity intact, or fight this and lose everything in a very public, very ugly legal battle. Derek looked at Vanessa. She looked away, wouldn't meet his eyes. You planned this, Derek said to Grace. Both of you. This is a setup. No, Grace replied. You planned this. You fired me at my father's resort. You used company funds to support your affair. You created fraudulent contracts. You harassed employees. You destroyed careers. We're just responding to your choices. I'll fight this. Then fight, William said. But know that every piece of evidence will become public. Every victim will testify. Every shady deal will be exposed. Every lie will be revealed. Is that how you want your legacy to end? As the CEO who destroyed his own company through arrogance and cruelty? Validation whisper. Grace stood up, placed both hands on the conference table. I stayed silent for too long. I made myself smaller so you could feel bigger. I ignored warning signs because I wanted to believe in us. I let you take credit for my work because I thought we were a team. But I'm done being invisible. I'm done pretending I don't see what's right in front of me. I'm done letting you define my worth. Marcus turned from the window. We need to take a vote. Derek, you're excused. Go wait outside. This is my company. Go now. Derek stood, straightened his jacket, walked toward the door, stopped next to Grace. You're going to regret this, he whispered. No, she replied quietly. I regret marrying you. I regret trusting you. I regret wasting 7 years of my life believing in you. But this, I won't regret this. He left. Vanessa followed. The door closed behind them. The board was silent for a long moment. Then Marcus spoke. I owe everyone an apology, especially Grace. I should have questioned this termination immediately. I should have demanded documentation. I should have protected the company from this liability. I failed in my responsibility as a board member. We all failed, another board member said. Her name was Linda. She'd been on the board since the beginning. We trusted Derek without verifying. We assumed his decisions were sound. We didn't do our due diligence. The question now, William said, is how do we fix it? We accept Derek's resignation, Marcus said. Immediately, we settle with the 3 women Jennifer represents. We bring Grace back. We rebuild our reputation. Derek hasn't resigned yet, Linda pointed out. He will, William said. The alternative is bankruptcy and criminal charges. He'll resign. What about the CEO position? Another board member asked. I'll take it temporarily, Marcus said, until we can do a proper search. But I want Grace back as CMO, with a seat on this board, and equity. Grace's knees weakened. Patricia, who'd been standing quietly in the corner, moved forward, ready to catch her if needed. You want me back? Grace asked. We never wanted you gone, Marcus said. We want competence, leadership, integrity, everything Derek pretended to be, everything you actually are. I need a moment, Grace said. She walked out to the deck, overlooked the resort, the place where her marriage had ended, where her career had been stolen, where she'd fought back. The baby kicked, hard, insistent, demanding attention. What do you think? Grace whispered to her stomach. Should I do this? Another kick, strong, determined. She took it as a yes. She walked back into the conference room. I'll come back, she said, on my terms. Name them, Marcus replied. Full transparency, no closed-door deals, no tolerance for harassment or discrimination, and maternity leave. 3 months, non-negotiable. Done. And one more thing, company-wide training, on respect, on ethics, on reporting mechanisms, on building a culture where what happened to me never happens to anyone else. Done. And therapy. The company pays for therapy for any employee who needs it. No questions asked, no stigma. Marcus extended his hand. Welcome back, Grace. They shook. The door opened. Derek's lawyer entered. Tall, expensive suit, briefcase full of documents. My client is willing to negotiate terms of his departure, the lawyer said. William smiled. Then let's negotiate. The board took a 30-minute recess. Grace stepped outside, breathed. But Elena Martinez appeared from the hallway. She'd been waiting the entire time. Your blood pressure? Elena asked. Probably terrible. Let me check. Elena pulled out a portable blood pressure cuff, wrapped it around Grace's arm, pumped, waited. She frowned at the reading. 140/90, that's too high. But not dangerous, right? Not immediately, but you need to rest after this. Calm down, reduce stress. After this, I'll rest for a week. Elena packed up her equipment. I'm holding you to that. Patricia joined them, updated Grace on the negotiations happening inside. Derek's lawyer is asking for a generous severance package, Patricia said. 6 months' salary, full benefits, a positive reference letter. He doesn't deserve any of that. Probably not. But it might be worth it to make him go away quietly. What about the embezzlement, the fraud? Dad's offering to drop the criminal charges if Derek repays the $60,000 plus interest and signs an agreement never to disparage you or the company. Grace thought about it. Justice versus peace, revenge versus resolution. What do you think I should do? Grace asked. I think you should ask yourself what you want. Not what's fair, not what Derek deserves, but what will let you move forward. Grace looked at her sister. When did you get so wise? Law school, it beats wisdom into you. I want him gone. I want to never see him again unless it's about the baby. I want to rebuild this company without his shadow hanging over everything. Then take the deal. It feels like he's getting away with it. He's losing his company, his reputation, his marriage, his chance to be a father to his child in any meaningful way. He's not getting away with anything. The door opened. William emerged. Derek's agreed to terms, he said. Resignation effective immediately, sale of his shares over 6 months at fair market value, repayment of embezzled funds, non-disclosure and non-disparagement agreements, and supervised visitation with the baby after birth. Supervised? Douglas Grace asked. His lawyer agreed that given the circumstances, unsupervised visitation isn't appropriate, at least not initially. Grace felt something release in her chest. Relief, the baby would be protected. What about Vanessa? Grace asked. Terminated immediately, no severance, no reference. She can try to find work elsewhere. That seems harsh. She participated in your termination knowing it was improper. She accepted a promotion she didn't earn. Those are the consequences. They returned to the conference room. Derek sat at the table, his lawyer beside him. He looked smaller somehow, diminished. Marcus presented the agreement. Derek signed, didn't say a word. Just signed and stood up. He looked at Grace, opened his mouth to speak. Don't, she said. We're done. Any communication about the baby goes through lawyers. That's it. He nodded, walked out. Vanessa was waiting in the hallway. Grace saw them through the glass doors. Derek said something. Vanessa's face crumpled. She was crying. Grace felt an unexpected flash of sympathy. Vanessa was 26, young, ambitious. Had Derek manipulated her too? Or had she been a willing participant? It didn't matter anymore. Grace turned away, focused on the board members. When can I start? She asked Marcus. Whenever you're ready, but Grace, take the maternity leave. Take care of yourself and the baby. The company will be here when you're ready. I want to start next week. Get oriented. Meet with the team, then take leave when the baby comes. Are you sure? I need to work. I need to feel productive. I need to prove to myself that I can do this. You don't need to prove anything. I need to prove it to myself. They spent the next 2 hours discussing logistics. Grace's office, her team, her salary and benefits. It was all being restored, plus equity, plus board seat, plus the respect she'd always deserved. By 6 o'clock, Grace was exhausted. The adrenaline had worn off. She felt hollowed out, empty. Patricia drove her back to her room, helped her inside, got her settled on the bed. You did it, Patricia said. We did it. No, you did it. We just supported you. Grace closed her eyes, felt the baby moving, constant, restless. I can't believe it's over. It's not over. It's just beginning. Now comes the hard part, actually doing the work, rebuilding, moving forward. I'm scared. Good. That means you're paying attention. Patricia left. Grace lay in the quiet room, stared at the ceiling, processed everything that had happened. Her phone buzzed. Derek, you destroyed me. I hope you're happy. She stared at the message, felt nothing. No anger, no satisfaction, no regret. She blocked his number, deleted the message. She had better things to do than argue with her ex-husband. She called Rachel instead. It's done, Grace said. Derek's out. I'm back. Oh my God, Grace, I'm so proud of you. I couldn't have done it without your help. The HR files, the documentation, that made the difference. What do you need from me now? Come back. Be HR director again. Help me rebuild the company culture. I'll be there Monday morning. Grace hung up, called her mother. It's over, Mom. I won. No, sweetheart. You didn't win. You survived. That's better than winning. Mirror technique moment. Grace stood in front of the bathroom mirror, stared at her reflection. 6 months pregnant, exhausted, victorious. She did what she always did after big moments. Checked her appearance, fixed her hair, wiped away smudged mascara, made sure she looked put together even when she felt like falling apart. It was armor, presentation, the mask she wore to convince the world she was fine, even when she wasn't. That night, Grace had dinner with her parents and Patricia. Quiet celebration, no champagne, sparkling water for the pregnant woman. I'm buying this resort, Grace said suddenly. Everyone looked at her. What? Her father asked. I'm buying Ashford Bay Resort, from you, at market value, and I'm converting part of it into a leadership retreat center, a place where women can come to rebuild after workplace trauma. where they can learn their rights, build their confidence, remember who they are when someone tries to erase them. William smiled, slow and proud. That's a good idea. I'll need capital. A loan. Consider it approved. Dad, I'm not giving it to you. I'm investing in you. Big difference. They ate, talked, made plans. Grace felt something she hadn't felt in months, maybe years. Hope. Not happiness exactly, not yet, but hope. The possibility that things could get better. The baby kicked, strong, steady. He's active tonight, Mom said. He always is, especially after stressful days. Have you picked a name? Grace nodded. William, after Dad, if that's okay. Her mother's eyes filled with tears. He'll be honored. He deserves to be honored. He saved me. No, William said quietly. You saved yourself. I just gave you the tools. After dinner, Grace walked on the beach alone. Moonlight on water, cool sand under her feet. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. This is Grace. Mrs. Thornton, this is Vanessa Cole. Grace stopped walking. How did you get this number? From the company directory, before they deleted my access. I know I'm probably the last person you want to talk to, but I need to say something. I'm listening. I'm sorry for all of it, for the affair, for taking the promotion, for smiling when he fired you. I'm sorry. Why did you do it? Silence on the line. Then, because he made me feel special, important. He said I was brilliant, that I deserved recognition, that you were holding the company back. I believed him. Did he force you, coerce you? No, nothing like that. But he did manipulate me. I see that now. He told me things about you that weren't true, made me think I was rescuing the company from someone incompetent. I was wrong, so wrong. What do you want from me, Vanessa? Nothing. I just wanted you to know I'm sorry and that I'm going to therapy. I need to understand why I let myself become complicit in hurting another woman. I need to do better. Grace felt unexpected sympathy. We all need to do better. Can I ask you something? Okay. How did you have the courage to fight back? How did you know what to do? I didn't know. I just knew I couldn't accept what was happening. So I took it one step at a time. Gathered evidence. Asked for help. Refused to disappear. Thank you for that, for showing it's possible to fight back. Vanessa hung up. Grace stood on the beach. Thought about that conversation. About forgiveness. About accountability. She didn't forgive Vanessa, not yet. Maybe not ever. But she understood her better. And understanding was a start. 3 days later, Grace moved into her new apartment. Not the house she'd shared with Derek. She couldn't go back there. Too many memories, too much pain. Patricia helped her unpack. Her mother had arranged for movers. Her father had paid first and last month's rent. Her family was taking care of her in all the ways that mattered. But Grace still felt hollow, empty, like something vital had been carved out of her chest. At night, she lay awake, stared at the ceiling, thought too much. The baby moved constantly now, rolls and kicks, taking up more space, growing stronger. But Grace felt weaker. The OB/GYN appointments continued. Weekly now, Dr. Martinez monitored everything. Blood pressure, weight gain, fetal development. The baby is perfect, Elena said at the latest appointment. But I'm worried about you. I'm fine. Your blood pressure is still elevated. You're not sleeping. You've lost weight instead of gaining. You're not fine, Grace. I'm stressed. That's normal. Stress this severe can impact the pregnancy. I want you to see a therapist, someone who specializes in pregnancy and trauma. I don't need therapy. Yes, you do. Grace wanted to argue, but she was so tired. Too tired to fight. Okay, I'll go. The therapist's name was Dr. Sarah Brennan, office in downtown Seattle. Comfortable chairs, plants everywhere, soft lighting. Tell me what brought you here, Dr. Brennan said. Grace told her everything, the firing, the affair, the evidence, the board meeting, the victory that somehow felt empty. How are you sleeping? De Brennan asked. I'm not. Eating? When I remember. Taking care of yourself? I'm trying. What's stopping you? Grace thought about it, tried to find words for the hollowness inside her. I don't know who I am anymore, she finally said. For 7 years, I was Derek's wife, Derek's colleague, the woman who built her career around his company, his dreams, his vision. And now all of that is gone. I got my job back. I got justice, but I don't know who I am without him. Who do you want to be? I don't know. Then we'll figure it out, together. They talked for an hour. Dr. Brennan gave her homework, journaling, self-care routines, permission to feel whatever she felt without judgment. Grace left feeling slightly lighter, not better, but less alone. Deep vulnerability seen that night. Grace woke at 3 in the morning. The baby wasn't moving. She lay perfectly still, waited, pressed her hand against her stomach. Nothing. Pressed harder. Still nothing. Panic seized her chest, made it hard to breathe. Please, she whispered to the darkness. Please move. Please be okay. I can't lose you too. Please. She started to cry. Real tears, the kind that she'd been holding back for days. She reached for her phone, was about to call Dr. Martinez. Then the baby kicked. Hard. Strong, insistent. Like it was saying, I'm here, Mom. I'm okay, we're okay. She sobbed with relief, lay there crying in the darkness, all the fear and pain and loss pouring out. She cried for the marriage that died, for the man she thought she loved, for the naive woman who trusted too much, for the baby who would grow up in a broken home, for everything that should have been different, for everything she couldn't control. She cried until she had nothing left, until she was empty, until finally exhausted she fell asleep. Validation whisper. The next morning, Grace stood in front of the mirror, looked at her swollen belly, her tired eyes, her face without makeup. I'm not crazy, she said out loud. I know what I saw. I know what he did. I'm not imagining it. I'm not overreacting. What happened was wrong, and I deserve better. I still deserve better, and someday I'll believe that without having to say it out loud to convince myself. Patricia came over that evening, brought Thai food. They ate on the couch. You look terrible, Patricia said bluntly. Thanks. I mean it. You're not taking care of yourself. I'm trying. Try harder. I saw a therapist today. Patricia's expression softened. Good. What did she say? That I need to figure out who I am without Derek. That I need to grieve what I lost even if I'm angry about how I lost it. That sounds like good advice. It sounds exhausting. Healing always is. They ate in silence. Thai basil and rice. Comfort food. Not healthy but necessary. Can I ask you something? Grace said. Anything. Do you think I'm weak for not seeing what Derek was doing? For trusting him when I should have known better? Patricia set down her fork, looked at Grace directly. You're the strongest person I know. You built a career in a male-dominated industry. You fought back when someone tried to destroy you. You're about to be a single mother while running a company. You're not weak. You're human. There's a difference. It doesn't feel like strength. It feels like survival. Sometimes survival is the strongest thing you can do. Grace thought about that, about survival, about the difference between living and thriving. She wasn't thriving yet, but she was surviving, and maybe that was enough for now. The next week, Grace started back at work, half days only, doctor's orders, but it felt good to be useful again, productive, valued. The marketing team welcomed her back. They'd hated Derek's decision, had been quietly documenting their own concerns, planning their own revolt. We're so glad you're back, one team member said. Vanessa had no idea what she was doing. We'll rebuild, Grace said. They spent the week assessing and damage. Vanessa had made decisions that cost them clients, changed strategies that had been working, fired good people for no reason. It would take months to fix, maybe years, but they would fix it. Marcus stopped by Grace's office at the end of the week. How are you holding up? He asked. I'm tired, pregnant, angry, but functional. That's honest. I'm trying to be more honest about everything. Can I apologize? For what? For not seeing what Derek was doing, for not protecting you, for being a terrible business partner and an even worse friend. Grace studied his face. saw genuine remorse. You didn't know. I should have. The signs were there. I chose not to see them because it was easier. I'm sorry. Apology accepted. But Marcus, we need to change how this company operates. No more looking away. No more protecting people in power at the expense of everyone else. Agreed. That's why I recommended you for the board. We need people who will call out problems, not hide them. Grace's first board meeting was the following week. She sat at the table where Derek used to sit. Felt strange. Wrong, but also right. They discussed company strategy, new hires, financial projections, normal business things. Then Linda brought up culture. We need to address what happened, Linda said, company-wide. Acknowledge the mistakes, commit to doing better. I agree, Grace said, but it can't just be talk. It has to be action, policy changes, training, accountability. They spent 2 hours discussing implementation. Grace took notes, made suggestions, felt useful in a way she hadn't felt in months. After the meeting, she walked back to her office, stopped in the hallway, looked around at the company she'd helped build. It looked different now. Not Derek's company anymore. Maybe it never really had been. Maybe it was everyone's company. All the people who worked here, who poured their lives into making it successful. Maybe that's what mattered. Not ownership, not credit, but contribution. She placed her hand on her belly, felt the baby kick. We're going to be okay, she whispered. I keep saying that. Someday I'll believe it. The baby kicked again, like it believed her already. Maybe that was enough. 2 weeks later, Grace was 7 months pregnant. The baby was running out of room, every movement visible through her stretched skin, like an alien trying to escape. She'd moved into a routine. Work in the morning, therapy twice a week, prenatal yoga, regular doctor appointments, building a life that didn't revolve around Derek. It was harder than she expected, lonelier. She'd been part of a couple for 7 years. Suddenly being single felt foreign, wrong. Even though the marriage had been dying, it had been familiar. Now everything was new, uncertain, scary. Dr. Brennan helped her process it, gave her tools for coping, permission to grieve and be angry and feel lost all at the same time. You're rebuilding your identity, Dr. Brennan said. That takes time. Be patient with yourself. Grace tried. Some days were easier than others. Work helped. Having purpose, having people who needed her, having projects that mattered. She was in a meeting when her water broke. Well, not broke exactly, started leaking. Slowly, uncomfortably, she excused herself, went to the bathroom, called Dr. Martinez. Are you contracting? Elena asked. No, just leaking. Come to the hospital. We'll check you out. I'm only 7 months. I know. That's why you need to come in now. Patricia drove her. Grace tried not to panic. 7 months was too early. The baby needed more time. At the hospital, they admitted her immediately, hooked her up to monitors, checked everything. It's not labor, Dr. Martinez said. Your water hasn't actually broken, but you're having what we call preterm pre-labor rupture of membranes, PPROM. What does that mean? It means we need to keep you here for observation. Give the baby steroid shots to help with lung development. Monitor for infection. Try to keep you pregnant as long as possible. How long? Ideally 7 more weeks, but we'll take every day we can get. Grace was admitted to the maternity ward. Private room, monitors everywhere. Bed rest, no work, no stress, just waiting. Patricia stayed with her that first night, brought her laptop and files, worked quietly in the corner while Grace tried to rest. You should go home, Grace said. I'm fine here. Patricia, I'm not leaving you, so stop arguing. Her mother arrived in the morning, brought fresh clothes, toiletries, books to read, all the things Grace would need for an extended stay. Dad wanted to come, Mom said, but I told him you need calm right now, not parental hovering. Thank him for me. You can thank him yourself. He'll be here tomorrow. The days blurred together, monitors beeping, nurses checking vitals, steroid shots for the baby. Waiting, endless waiting. Grace had too much time to think about everything that had happened, everything that was still happening, everything that might happen next. She journaled like Dr. Brennan suggested, wrote down all the thoughts she couldn't say out loud. I'm scared. What if I'm a terrible mother? What if I can't do this alone? What if the baby comes too early? What if something goes wrong? What if I'm making a mistake coming back to the company? What if Derek was right and I'm not qualified? What if I fail at everything? Writing helped, a little, not enough, but something. Rachel visited, brought flowers and gossip from the office. Everyone misses you, Rachel said. The team is holding down the fort, but they need their leader back. I'll be back as soon as the baby is born and I've recovered. Take all the time you need, we'll manage. But Grace could see the strain on Rachel's face. The company needed her. She needed to be there. But the baby needed her more. On day 5 in the hospital, Marcus visited, brought a care package from the team. Cards signed by everyone, snacks, magazines, a stuffed animal for the baby. The board voted, Marcus said. We're giving you extended medical leave, 6 months, full salary, full benefits, no questions asked. That's too generous. No, it's appropriate. You've earned it. And Grace, the company will survive without you for a few months. The baby might not survive without you doing exactly what the doctors say. So stay here. Rest. Take care of yourself and your son. Grace felt tears prick her eyes. Hormones, stress, gratitude, everything mixed together. Thank you. Don't thank me, just get better. That night, Grace lay in the hospital bed, watched the monitors, listened to the baby's heartbeat through the speakers. Strong, steady, fighting. She thought about strength, real strength. Not the kind that meant never breaking down, but the kind that meant getting back up after you fell. She'd fallen so many times in the past few months, been knocked down, humiliated, betrayed, but she kept getting up, kept fighting, kept moving forward. Maybe that was enough. Maybe that was all strength really was. Not invincibility, but resilience. Mirror technique moment. On day 7, a nurse helped Grace wash her hair in the sink. It felt like a luxury, like being human again. Grace stared at herself in the mirror afterward. Hospital gown, no makeup, hair wet and tangled. She looked exhausted, worn out, but alive. She did what she always did when she needed to remember who she was. Looked herself in the eyes, really looked. Forced herself to see past the exhaustion, past the fear, down to the core of who she'd always been. Strong, capable, enough. I'm enough, she whispered to her reflection. Even like this, even broken, I'm enough. So, on day 10, Dr. Martinez had good news. The baby's lungs are developing well. The infection risk is low, you're stable. You can go home, but strict bed rest. No work, no stress. Someone needs to be with you at all times. I can do that. Grace went home to her apartment. Her mother moved in, set up camp in the guest room, took over cooking and cleaning and managing visitors. Patricia came every day after work, brought updates from the office, kept Grace connected without overwhelming her. Her father visited on weekends, sat with her, read the newspaper out loud, didn't hover, just existed nearby. A quiet presence, steady, reliable. Grace's world shrank to her apartment, her bed, the baby growing inside her. Everything else became secondary, distant, less important. She learned to sit still, to wait, to trust her body to do what it needed to do. It was the hardest thing she'd ever done. Harder than building her career, harder than confronting Derek, harder than fighting for justice, sitting still, doing nothing, waiting. But the baby needed her to wait, so she waited. Weeks passed. She hit 30 weeks, then 32, then 34. Every day the baby stayed inside was a victory. Dr. Brennan did phone sessions, talked Grace through the anxiety, the fear, the overwhelming responsibility of keeping another human alive. You're doing everything right, Dr. Brennan said. You're prioritizing the baby's health. You're accepting help. You're being patient with yourself. That's all you can do. It doesn't feel like enough. It is enough. You are enough. At 35 weeks, Dr. Martinez said the baby could come any time now. His lungs were developed enough. His weight was good. He was ready. Will induce at 37 weeks if you don't go into labor naturally, Elena said. But you made it, Grace. You kept that baby safe. You did good. Grace felt something shift inside her. Not pride exactly, but satisfaction. She'd done it, kept her baby safe despite everything else falling apart. She'd done something right. Validation whisper. That night, Grace lay in bed, hands on her belly. I know I haven't been perfect. I know I've been scared and angry and lost. But I've kept you safe. Through everything. Through the betrayal and the divorce, and the hospital and the fear. I kept you safe, and I'll keep doing that, no matter what. You're mine and I'm yours, and we're going to be okay, I promise. The baby kicked, strong, insistent, like he was agreeing they were going to be okay. Grace went into labor at 36 weeks, 3 in the morning, contractions 5 minutes apart. Not terribly painful yet, but regular, consistent. She called her mother, Patricia, Dr. Martinez. Everyone arrived within an hour. Patricia drove. Her mother sat in the back seat holding Grace's hand. Timing contractions. At the hospital, they admitted her immediately. Labor and delivery. Private room. The same room where she'd spent 10 days on bed rest. It felt like coming home. In a strange, hospital-scented way. Dr. Martinez examined her. You're at 4 centimeters. This is happening. You ready? No. Good answer. Nobody's ever really ready. Labor progressed slowly, hours of contractions, walking the halls, breathing through pain, her mother on one side, Patricia on the other. Her father arrived at noon, paced the waiting room, drove the nurses crazy, asking for updates. He's worried, Mom said. He should be, Grace replied through a contraction. I'm worried. By evening, she was exhausted, 8 centimeters dilated. Transition phase. The worst part. Uncontrollable shaking. Nausea. Pain so intense it didn't feel real. I can't do this, Grace said. Yes, you can, her mother replied. You're already doing it. I want Derek here. Everyone froze. Grace realized what she'd said. I mean, I don't want Derek here, but the baby should have his father here. This is wrong. He should be here. He made his choices, Patricia said gently. This is the consequence. It's not fair to the baby. The baby has you. That's enough. Grace wanted to argue, but another contraction hit, stole her breath, erased her thoughts. At 9 o'clock that night, she was ready to push. Dr. Martinez coached her through it. Push, breathe, push, breathe. It hurt more than anything Grace had ever experienced. More than emotional pain, more than betrayal, more than heartbreak. This was physical, primal, ancient. She screamed, cried, swore, and then suddenly, a baby's cry filled the room. It's a boy, Dr. Martinez said. 7 pounds, 4 ounces, perfect. They placed him on Grace's chest, tiny, pink, covered in vernix and blood, screaming his lungs out. Grace looked down at him, at her son, this tiny person she'd protected for 8.5 months, this human who depended completely on her. Hi, William, she whispered. I'm your mom. The baby stopped crying, looked at her with unfocused eyes, like he recognized her voice. Grace burst into tears, real, ugly, overwhelming tears. Relief, joy, fear, love. Everything at once. Her mother was crying. Patricia was crying. Even her father, watching through the window, had tears streaming down his face. You did it, Mom said. You did so good, sweetheart. They took the baby to be weighed and measured, cleaned up, given all the necessary tests. Grace delivered the placenta, got stitched up, moved to a recovery room. When they brought William back, she held him properly, counted his fingers, his toes, examined every inch of him. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. She tried to breastfeed. It was harder than expected. William had trouble latching. Grace had trouble positioning. They fumbled together, awkward, learning. A nurse helped, patient and kind. Eventually, William latched, started nursing. The feeling was strange, painful but also satisfying. Biological, right. You're doing great, the nurse said. First time is always hard, but you'll figure it out together." Grace looked down at her son, this tiny person who was entirely hers, who she would raise alone, who would never know his father the way he should have. "I'm sorry," she whispered to William. "I'm sorry your dad isn't here. I'm sorry we're not the family I wanted us to be. But I promise I'll love you enough for both of us. I promise I'll do my best, even when I mess up. I promise I'll always fight for you the way I fought to keep you safe." William kept nursing, content, unaware of the complex emotions swirling around him. Patricia knocked softly on the door, peeked in. "Can I meet my nephew?" "Come in." Patricia approached carefully, looked down at the baby. Her face softened completely. "He's beautiful, Grace, absolutely beautiful. He looks like Derek. He looks like you. I see Derek's nose, his chin. I see your strength, your determination. He's going to be amazing." They sat in comfortable silence, Grace nursing her baby, Patricia sitting beside them, bearing witness. "I need to tell Derek," Grace said, "that the baby's born, that he's healthy. Do you want me to do it?" "No, I should, through my lawyer, but he should know." "He will, but Grace, you don't owe him anything. Not updates, not photos, not access. He gave up those rights when he chose Vanessa over his family. I'm not doing it for him. I'm doing it because William deserves to have a father who knows he exists, even if that father is a terrible person." "Okay, but set boundaries, clear boundaries." "I will." Show. Mirror technique moment. That night, after everyone left, Grace stood in front of the bathroom mirror. Her body looked different, deflated, stretched, marked. She'd spent months growing a human. Now that human was outside her body, in a clear plastic bassinet beside her bed. She touched her stomach, still swollen but empty. She felt strange, disconnected from her own body. This wasn't her body anymore. It was a mother's body, changed, transformed, marked forever by what she'd done. She wasn't sure if she liked it yet, but it was hers. This body had protected her son, kept him safe, brought him into the world. That was worth every stretch mark, every scar, every change. The hospital kept them for 2 days, monitoring, teaching, making sure Grace knew how to care for a newborn. She was terrified. Every time William cried, she panicked. Was he hungry? Uncomfortable? Sick? How was she supposed to know? But slowly she learned, figured out his cries, his needs, his patterns. He liked to be held, hated being put down, wanted to eat every 2 hours, exactly every 2 hours, like clockwork. Grace was exhausted, sore, overwhelmed, but also content. This was her purpose now, this tiny human. Everything else was secondary. On the day they were discharged, her father arrived to drive them home. He'd installed a car seat, practiced clicking it in and out, read the instruction manual 3 times. "I want to do this right," William said. "You're doing perfect, Dad." They drove home carefully. Her father went 20 miles per hour below the speed limit, stopped completely at every stop sign, treated every pothole like a landmine. Grace sat in the back beside William's car seat, watched him sleep, marveled that this person existed, that she'd created him, that he was hers. At home, her mother had prepared everything. Nursery finished, supplies stocked, meals prepped and frozen, everything Grace would need for the next few weeks. "You're moving in, aren't you?" Grace asked. "For a few weeks, until you're comfortable, if that's okay." "It's more than okay. I can't do this alone." "You could, but you don't have to." Those words meant everything. You don't have to. Grace had spent months feeling like she had to do everything alone, prove she was strong enough, capable enough, independent enough. But she didn't have to. She had family, support, people who loved her. That night, William woke up every 2 hours. Grace fed him, changed him, rocked him back to sleep, then collapsed back into bed herself, exhausted. This was her life now. No sleep, constant nursing, baby care around the clock. She'd never been so tired or so content. 3 weeks after William's birth, Grace's lawyer called. "Derek is requesting visitation." His lawyer sent formal documents. "What kind of visitation?" "Supervised visits, 2 hours per week, at a neutral location." That seems reasonable. You don't have to agree. You have full custody. He terminated his parental rights through his behavior. I know, but William deserves the chance to know his father, even if his father is an idiot. Are you sure? No, but I'm doing it anyway. The first visit was arranged for the following week at a family visitation center. Social worker present, Grace would stay in the building but not in the room. She was terrified. What if Derek hurt William? What if he said terrible things? What if he tried to take him? But she went anyway, drove to the center, brought William in his car seat, handed him to the social worker, walked to the waiting room, sat down, tried not to panic. Patricia was with her. Steady presence. Lawyer mode if needed. 2 hours felt like forever. Grace checked her phone constantly, waited for something to go wrong. Finally, the social worker brought William back. He was fine, sleeping peacefully, fed and changed in content. How did it go? Grace asked. Fine. Derek held him, talked to him, seemed genuinely interested. No concerns. Did he say anything about me? He asked if you were doing okay. I told him that wasn't appropriate conversation during visitation. Grace felt something complex, relief, disappointment, curiosity. Part of her wanted Derek to suffer, to regret everything, to buhano, to see what he'd lost. Another part of her just wanted him gone. Out of her life completely. She didn't know which feeling was right. Maybe both, maybe neither. Validation whisper. That night, Grace held William while he slept. I don't know if I'm doing the right thing, letting your dad see you, but I want you to have the chance to know him, to decide for yourself what kind of relationship you want. I won't lie to you about him, won't make him a hero or a villain. I'll just tell you the truth and let you figure out the rest, because you deserve that. You deserve the truth, even when it's complicated. 6 weeks after William's birth, Grace went back to work. Part-time, 4 hours a day. Her mother watched the baby. It felt strange, wrong, like she was abandoning him, even though she knew he was safe, loved, well cared for. But she needed to work, needed to be more than just a mother, needed to be herself again. The office welcomed her back, celebrated her return, wanted to see photos of the baby, asked about his sleep schedule, his feeding, everything. Grace showed pictures, told stories, let herself be both, mother and professional, not one or the other. Marcus called a meeting her first day back. We've made some changes, he said, based on your recommendations before you went on leave. New HR policies, training programs, reporting mechanisms. We're building the company you envisioned. That's good. And we want you to be CEO. Grace stared at him. What? I'm stepping down, transitioning to board chair. The company needs someone with vision, leadership, someone who knows how to build culture. That's you, Grace. You should run this company. I just had a baby 6 weeks ago. I know. Take all the time you need, but when you're ready, the job is yours. Grace thought about it. We see the position Derek had held, the position she'd never imagined for herself. Could she do it? Be CEO and mother? Run a company while raising a child alone? Can I think about it, she asked. Take all the time you need. That night, Grace talked to Dr. Brennan about it. What do you want? Dr. Brennan asked. I want to do it, but I'm scared I'll fail. I'll be a terrible CEO or a terrible mother or both. Why do those have to be connected? Why can't you be a good CEO and a good mother? Because I only have so much to give. If I give everything to the company, I won't have enough for William. If I give everything to William, the company will suffer. Or maybe you'll give what you can to both, and it'll be enough. Not perfect, but enough. Grace thought about that. Enough. Not perfect. Grace accepted the CEO position 3 months after William's birth. The press release went out on a Monday morning. Articles praised the company for promoting from within, for choosing a woman CEO, for recognizing talent over politics. She was no longer Derek Thornton's wife. She was Grace Ashford, CEO, mother, survivor. Her first day as CEO, she arrived at 7 in the morning. William was with her mother. She'd nursed him before leaving, set up her office with a breast pump and supplies. She was doing this, both things, CEO and mother. Not perfectly, but doing it. The executive team met at 8. Grace sat at the head of the table, Derek's old seat. It felt powerful. Right. Thank you all for being here, she said. I know this transition has been unconventional, but we're going to make it work, together. She laid out her vision, company culture, ethics, transparency, growth with integrity. I'm not interested in being the biggest company, she said. I'm interested in being the best company, the one people want to work for, the one that values contribution over politics. The team listened, asked good questions, challenged her thinking. It felt collaborative, uh, not about one person's ego. It felt right. 6 months after William's birth, Grace stood at Ashford Bay Resort, the same spot where Derek had fired her. But now she owned this place, converted half of it into a leadership retreat center, the Ashford Women's Leadership Institute. Today was the grand opening. 50 women attended, all survivors of workplace trauma. Grace stood at the podium, looked out at the audience, saw herself in every face. A year ago, she began, I stood in this exact spot and lost everything I thought defined me. My marriage, my vibe, my identity. The room was silent. My husband fired me publicly while I was 6 months pregnant at my father's resort. He thought he was erasing me, making me disappear. She paused. What he didn't understand is that you can't erase someone who knows their worth. You can fire them, humiliate them, betray them, but you can't erase them. Not if they refuse to be erased. Applause started, quiet at first, then louder. I fought back, not for revenge, but for justice, for myself, for my son, for every woman who's been told she's not enough. The applause grew stronger. This institute exists because I needed it, because every woman in this room has needed it. A place to remember who you are when someone tries to make you forget. Standing ovation. Grace felt overwhelmed. This was why she'd fought. After the speech, women approached her, shared their stories, thanked her. One woman whispered, "You saved my life. Seeing you fight back gave me courage to leave my abusive boss." Grace listened, held space, bore witness to their courage. This was her purpose now, not just running a company, but creating change. Mirror technique moment. That night, Grace returned to her apartment. William was asleep in his crib, 7 months old now, rolling over, trying to crawl. She stood in the doorway of his nursery, watched him sleep, did what she always did when big moments happened. Paused, breathed, made sure she was present. Not just surviving, but actually living. She'd spent so long in survival mode, but tonight she felt different, peaceful, like the pieces of her life were finally fitting together. William's first birthday arrived in October. Grace threw a party at the resort. Family and friends, her team, the board members. Derek wasn't invited, but he sent a gift, a stuffed elephant, a card that said, "To William, love, Dad." Grace put the elephant in William's toy box, kept the card. Someday William would ask about his father. She'd show him these things, let him decide what they meant. Her father raised his glass, called for attention. "A toast," William said, "to Grace, who showed us all what real strength looks like. To William, who brings joy to everyone. And to new beginnings." To new beginnings, everyone echoed. Grace looked at her son, her family, her friends. A year ago, she thought her life was ending. Turned out it was just beginning. Epilogue. 1 year later. Grace stood in the boardroom at Thornton Technologies. The quarterly earnings report showed record growth, highest employee satisfaction scores in company history, 3 industry awards. They were building something that mattered, something ethical, something good. After the meeting, Rachel knocked on Grace's door. "There's someone here to see you. Amanda Porter says she worked here 3 years ago under Derek." Grace didn't recognize the name. "Send her in." A woman in her 30s entered, nervous, determined. "Ms. Ashford, thank you for seeing me. I worked here under Derek. He harassed me, fired me when I reported it, made me sign an NDA. But I've been following your story, and I want to know if it's too late to file a complaint." Grace felt something shift toward her. This was why she'd fought. "It's never too late," Grace said. "Sit down." Tell me everything. Amanda started talking. Another story of abuse. Another woman silenced. Grace listened, took notes, offered contact information for Jennifer Wayne. Thank you, Amanda whispered. Thank you for showing me it's possible to fight back. Thank you for having the courage to trauma. That evening, Grace picked up William from daycare. He ran to her on his toddler legs, crashed into her knees. Mama! Hi, baby boy. Did you have a good day? They drove home, started their evening routine. Dinner, bath, books, bedtime. She read him his favorite story, The Little Engine That Could. I think I can. I think I can. William fell asleep before the story ended. Grace watched him breathe, steady, peaceful, safe. Her phone buzzed. A news alert. Derek Thornton, former CEO of Thornton Technologies, has been charged with securities fraud in connection with his new startup. Grace read the article. Derek's new company, already falling apart. More lies, more fraud. She felt nothing, no satisfaction, no vindication, just quiet certainty that she'd made the right choice. She deleted the alert. It wasn't her problem anymore. Final wisdom. Grace stood at her window, looked out at the Seattle skyline, thought about everything she'd learned. People asked her sometimes if she regretted marrying Derek, if she wished she'd seen the signs sooner, if she was bitter about what he took. But here's what she learned. He didn't take anything she didn't already have the power to reclaim. He revealed himself, and in doing so, he freed her to become someone stronger than the woman he tried to erase. The prison door had been unlocked all along. She just needed to be angry enough, hurt enough, and finally brave enough to walk through it. And on the other side wasn't revenge. It was her, the real her. She was Grace Ashford, CEO, mother, fighter, survivor. She was enough, always had been, finally believed it, and that made all the difference. Grace walked to William's room, checked on him one more time. Sweet dreams, baby boy, she whispered. Tomorrow we wake up and do it all again. Build something good, love fiercely, refuse to be made small. That's our legacy. She went to her own room, climbed into bed. For the first time in 2 years, Grace fell asleep without fear, without anxiety, just peace. She'd fought her battle, built her life from the ashes, and she'd won. Not because Derek lost, but because she found herself. That was the real victory, the only one that mattered. Grace Ashford closed her eyes, smiled, slept. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new reasons to be strong. But tonight she rested, secure in the knowledge that whatever came next, she could handle it. She'd already survived the worst. Everything else was just details. And she was more than enough to face them all. And that's how Grace Ashford became the CEO of the company that tried to erase her. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever felt invisible or undervalued, if you've ever had to fight for what you deserve, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. Your story matters. Share it. And if you found strength or inspiration in Grace's journey, do me a favor. Hit that like button. It tells me you want more stories like this. Stories about women who refuse to stay silent, who fight back, who win. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. That friend who's struggling at work. That sister who's doubting herself. That woman who needs a reminder that she's stronger than she knows. And subscribe to this channel, because every week I bring you stories of courage, transformation, and the power of refusing to be erased. Stories that remind us we're not alone in our battles. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being the part of this community of survivors and fighters. Until next time, remember, you are enough. You always were, and no one can take that from you. Now go to be the CEO of your own life.